1,000% humidity. Welcome to the bipolar state. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. We have a really awesome show tonight. We have two extraordinarily talented singers and musicians joining us tonight, and they are going to be Beth, Whitney, and Loomis. I'm so excited to have them on the show. She's their country duo. They have a very beautiful, beautiful, harmonious partnership going on with their voices and with their music, and I can't wait to hear them. So exciting. Before we get to our wonderful, wonderful show, I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of sponsors. This show is brought to you tonight by the Caring Coaching Center. If you're looking to get healthier, either to lose weight or just eat healthier, even maybe in your mind and in your body and your spirit, the Caring Coaching Center is your place to go. Karen Penny is awesome. She is loving. She is kind. She wants to help you. Go to www.thecaringcoachingcenter.com. Look over what Karen has to offer you. Not only that, but email her for a free 50-minute health consultation today. And what she knows about consultation is that she'll design a program specifically to meet your needs. If you want to lose weight, to help you lose weight. If you want to eat better and go to an exercise program, to help you do that. If you want to get mentally well, maybe you're just not feeling 100%, also help you do that as well. You can't beat it. She's everything in one. Everything is confidential, and nothing is made public. It's just between you and her. That's www.thecaringcoachingcenter.com. Visit her website and email her today. Also, the Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York, right outside of Batavia. Awesome, awesome, awesome. If you love history, if you're also into like the unexplained and the paranormal, awesome place to go. It is 10 minutes from two major airports and 10 minutes from a town. But ironically, it's also in the middle of nowhere, which also makes it out better. It's a cemetery on a property. They have ghost tours. They have historical tours. They're going to be having concert events. They have movie nights at Halloween in the month of October. It is awesome. You're going to love it. You're not going to want to miss it. So the www.rollinghillsasylum.com. If you're in the paranormal, they also do public and captive hunts. And look into that. If you have an investigation team, it might be something for you to do. Or if you're just a spectator who's interested in kind of, getting your toes wet in the paranormal, you can also do a public hunt. So www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Sharon Coyle and Brad take care of the place. They're fantastic caretakers, and you will not be disappointed, especially if you're a history buff. There's a ton of history there. Just to be surrounded by, like, the old beds and, the old rooms and everything. It's just very, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a little emotional, but it's so intriguing. So it's www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Also, September 27th and 28th, we will be at the Roberson Museum and Science Center in Binghamton, New York, on Upper 2nd Street. It is going to be RoboCon, which means if you're a fan of the comics, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, if you're a fan of sci-fi, you're going to want to go. This is the second one, and last year was a success. This year won't be any different. Myself, I will be broadcasting live from the RoboCon at the Roberson Museum and Science Center. Not only do they have RoboCon, but they have a bunch of other events as well. They have powwows, they have a wind tasting, they have dinner, they do a bunch of fundraisers. Not only that, they do the museum and the science center, like I said. The museum part is where the Robersons used to live. It's a big, huge mansion. It is also said to be haunted. So, again, if you like to travel in the paranormal and explained, it could be something for you. Now, if you're a science buff, they also have a beautiful science center where you can look at the planetarium, you can do a bunch of stuff with science. I'm kind of a geek, but I'm not a science person, so you'll have to forgive me, but it's amazing. I've been to the Science Center. I love the planetarium where they show you the stars and the planets. It's so much fun. Not only that, but in the museum, they also have a lot of history from World War II and from the Civil War, and it's just a need to see all these artifacts and the history that we've learned about since we were little. So that is www.robersonmuseumsciencecenter.com. There are ticket stubs for RoboCon. Also, in the upcoming months, they're going to be having a Christmas tree display, where they display a Christmas tree from all around the world, all different cultures. It is gorgeous, and you're not going to miss that. So sign up to be on the mailing list at www.robersonmuseumsciencecenter.com. Also, do not forget to catch this September 27th and 28th, that's Saturday and Sunday, come say hi, come to the table. We have free CDs of shows that we've done. Come shake our hands and wear your favorite costume. Be a nerd for a day. Who doesn't have a nerd? I know I do. Love you, Harry Potter. Embrace it. Embrace it. Also, just one more thing. If you own an animal and I find it tied to the tree, I'm going to take the animal and then I'm going to set your car on fire. If you have an animal, do not leave it outside chained to a tree. Do not use it for dog fighting. Do not leave it in a hot car on a hot day. Same with your children. Shame on you if you did this. You deserve to never, ever, ever, ever have a child or an animal again. And I hope people can do it. That's all I'm going to say about that. And if you see an animal that needs help or a child that needs help, please stop. Please help. Don't just pass by. Don't think it's not your problem. Because if it was you, you would want help. So please, asking you from the bottom of my heart, be a kind person and help somebody in need who's innocent and helpless. Dog, and you'll get, no way. It's going to be that awesome. Epic. So stay tuned to Dealing with Your Radio Safe page, Facebook page, and our website. I'm telling you, it's huge. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my awesome, talented, beautiful, and handsome Beth. Beth Whitney and Bradford Loomis. Hello. Hello. Why are we laughing? Did I miss something?
Right. No.
Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. I was just, if you're laughing at me, I love to laugh, so I just want to be included. Tell my listeners about you. Let's go with you, Beth. Where did you come from? How did you fall into music?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town just north of Seattle, about an hour north. It's a small farming town, and I'm the fifth of six kids. So I guess my first experience with music was singing in our Volvo station wagon with bales of hay on top, and I always had to find my part in. And there's the six kids. Most of the harmonies are taken, so I had a fun time finding my own spot there. So that's probably my first introduction into music, and then I mostly was an athlete throughout high school, and then an injury in high school left me kind of, knowing that sports weren't going to do it anymore. So I had to, I switched gears. Someone actually just literally handed me a guitar and asked if I could use it. And I took the guitar and thought about it and was like, yeah, I could use it. So I took it home and started writing songs that day and haven't really put it down since. So that's my story in a nutshell.
I am where I went to school. You had to choose band or you had to choose choir. And I started out with band, playing the clarinet, and really bored after a while. I liked music. I liked it a lot. The clarinet never had any good parts, so it's the middle, just kind of providing the roots, the chords, not any of the melodies or anything. And so I turned on to the grunge movement. And started singing like some of those guys, Scott Weiland from the Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, and really, really loved it. And so I had a friend who heard me singing and said, you should go in choir. So I did, and kind of was the catalyst, really. My mom had a guitar sitting around, and so I started playing music, and she'd never really played the guitar, so I tried to taught myself and just kept singing in choir, and then right away, that's what I wanted to do, and just kept pursuing it. And out of high school, gave up music for a while, had kids, and tried to do the standard American dream thing, and ended up losing my job, and said, well, maybe now's the time to try to pursue music, and so and it was about 4 or 5 years ago. So now we're now a full-time musician and have met and paired up with Beth and her husband, and that's the history, so to speak. Organized.
Now, how did you meet up with Beth and her husband? How did you two meet and decide to collaborate?
I found it on the internet, believe it or not. I had some mutual friends that said, hey, you should share it with Beth Whitney gal. And so I went and looked at her website and was blown away. And I found out she was from the same small town. And I never played in Snowish. I don't know to Seattle. So, I didn't see a lot of local talent. And so I asked her if she would do the show with me so I could see her husband play. And didn't really get to see him. She played solo, and so we had to do another show together, and it was awesome. And so I asked them if they would come and help me release my record, play with their music, and then also play as my band to help me, put my music out. And they did, and we just kind of hit it off. They're great and wonderful people, and excellent musicians. So I really lucked out meeting them. So we decided to write together and just kind of casually, we didn't really have any grand plans, but the first song came really easy, and we just kept liking everything we were recording, so we kept at it. And 4 or 5 songs in, we're like, man, what do we do with all these songs? Do you release them? Do I release them? What if we did like Alison Krauss and Robert Plant and put out a record together with both of our brands after it? That's what we did.
Now, where do you guys still pull your inspiration from your music? Since you guys collaborate and, what inspires you to write what you write?
It's kind of a big question because with a big answer, basically life does that, I think. Life and suffering and joy and those things. So the first song we wrote together, a lot of the inspiration for that song comes actually from Song of Solomon. In the Bible, there's a couple lines that are straight from it, and then the rest is very loosely inspired by it. But it's basically this old love letter, and so that can be inspirational to us also. But for this album in particular, the songs that came together are all sort of have this ingredient of hope, even if there's just like the tiniest dash of it in there in each song. And it's not a hope that's obnoxious, hopefully. It's a hope that is genuine and raw and can be even uncomfortable to maintain when life is hard, if that makes sense. So we have other songs that we didn't record this time around, and we'll see what the common ingredient is in the next album. But this one has hope in it.
I think that's great because for me, I love listening to music that is personal to the person who's singing it. And I think that's what makes me a fan of that person and a fan of that music. And I think that bridges the gap between you and your listeners. And I think it makes it so much more worthwhile. I can't stand it when I hear a song that I like, and it has the words seem like they would have deep meaning, and then you see or read an article about them talking about that song and saying, I just made it up. It doesn't really mean anything, but what's the word I'm looking for? Interpret it any way they want. That's totally fine.
Right.
But that breaks my heart. So I'm like, no, wait a second. It kind of made me release you and make me feel like we went through the same thing, and that's why I love this song. So I love the fact that you guys are putting pieces of you into your music because that's so important.
Cool. Yeah, that's the idea. It can hurt, but it's good. I think.
Yeah.
I write songs too, so I totally understand. Like, there's been songs I'm like crying over, like, oh, why? But then again, it's like, you know what? If I'm crying, maybe it'll be good for somebody else. Maybe they can have a good cry too and say, you know what, I'm not the only one who's been through this. Thank God there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, where, you know, joy comes from pain. And, you know, solace comes from pain. And sometimes the things that hurt the worst come out the best. I know that sounds weird, but it's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Well, now that we've all agreed upon that.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you two are writing a song and you disagree? How do you work out that?
I mean, fist fights are really effective.
It's a proactive way. I can see how that would, you know, settle things relatively quickly and, you know, adult-like. Absolutely. I'm totally down for blood and brown. Absolutely.
Really quickest way.
Quick.
Yeah. Did you want to say something, Patrick?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, we're both very respectful of the process and the fact that we don't write really made-up stories. We tend to have a part of ourselves within the songs. So we sit down with a song, one of us brings some kind of an idea, and it's, of all the songs we've written, it's never the same amount. You know, it's various, like it might just be one line, or it might be a whole stanza, you know, it might be just one verse. But we usually have one idea, at least a scrap of it, and then we bring it to the other person. And so we kind of have some idea as far as what the concept is. And then we talk a lot about what that concept is, where we want to take it, what that means to us, and we brainstorm a lot. And so we both try to approach the process very open-handed. So we're not, you know, really strongly holding on to it. And there was one time the song "Brother" in particular, Beth had a real specific vision for that because the song was most of the way done. It was pretty much done. And so I offered some ideas and we kind of played with it. And it's a song that's really deep and meaningful. And it was clear that she had a pretty finished idea. So we kind of settled on, let's just leave it as it is. It works really well as it is. And then we'll focus on another song. So sometimes you just kind of have to negotiate that. And, you know, as long as you're clear about it, you're much less likely to get upset about it. And so far, we've really not had anything like that happen. So we just communicate a lot and talk a lot and just try to be real open-minded and open-handed. And it's worked really, really well.
Yeah.
And it helps that one of the things that struck me in particular first in listening to Beth's music is that she really writes the way that I want to learn how to write. And so it's perfect, you know, for me. It's not like it was forced. That's actually one of the reasons why we wrote together, because I'm very fond of her writing style and the depth that she puts into things. And so, yeah, it's worked really well.
Excellent. It sounds like you two have a very harmonious music marriage, if you will. I think that's really good. Would you agree with everything he said, Beth?
Yeah, and I would say that our styles are pretty different, actually. So it helps. Bradford is very narrative-driven. So he wants a story, a complete story, or at least semi-complete story. And then I'm all about little images within the story. So I kind of fixate on pictures within the story, and then he fixates on the narrative. And then as far as musically, I mean, Bradford can do all of it, but he's very good at rhythm, switching up rhythms, and then I think my strength is probably with melodies and hooks and stuff. So we tend to I think, complement each other's strengths with our own strengths. And I've never written with someone like that. That was kind of the opposite magnet, you know. So it's good.
It is good. I actually listened to a couple of your songs, and not only do your voices complement each other because they're very opposite, but they add such a beautiful compliment. And your melodies and everything are very haunting, but in such a good way. You can definitely tell each of you brings something different to the table, but it blends and marries very, very well. And it tells a beautiful story. And I love that about your music. It, you know, your words tell a story, and then the music behind it, you know, that you know, kind of like the broth to your stew, if you will. It draws you in, and it kind of consumes you, and I think that's great because that's what people need with music. And also, I have to ask, has anybody ever compared you guys to the Civil Wars? You're kind of, you know, on the cusp of almost kind of like that dynamic.
Oh, man. You're like my best friend right now. They're my favorite. Yeah, I love that. We do get that occasionally. I think that's really easy, just for no other reason, because we're a guy and a girl. But, yeah, and we do a lot of really intricately woven harmonies and melodies and that sort of thing. But, yeah, I love that. Thank you. I'll take that reference every day.
You're very welcome. It's the first thing I thought of when I heard your music. I'm like, you know, you're very unique. You know, your own style, your own music is very unique, and not, you know, not like identical of theirs, but you're along those same lines, and you're right on the cusp of them. You know, which I just thought, man, you know, they're going to be ahead. They're just like the Civil Wars. Holy crap! You know, so you guys are kicking it. It's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of which, you have an album coming out. You have the 2 singles out. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Tell us about your album. Tell us about your singles.
Well, with I'm Beloved, Beth alluded to that a little bit earlier. That was our first songwriting process, and it's kind of a funny story. Her husband had just had a baby like 2 months before, so they were fresh in the not sleeping at all stage. So we ended up writing in her house like 8 o'clock at night, very quietly in the adjacent room, so as not to wake up her son. And it was cool. Beth had a great little section of song, just a couple chords, like 1, maybe 2 lines, I think, and just a beautiful little glimpse of the melody. And so we sat down and we started writing, and 2 hours later, I'm like, yeah, I think that's it. We recorded it, and it was about 3 minutes and 50 seconds, something like that. And we were like, man, that was great. I took an album that showed my life, and she like teared up. And that's a really good sign. She doesn't generally react that way to music much. So I'm like, man, I think we're on something here. So that's kind of how that first one came about.
Yeah, and that's the other Come Dance With Me. That other single. Yeah, that one actually, Bradford and his wife wrote that one. So this project is called The Banner Days. We each brought 2 originals and then co-wrote 3 for a total of 7 songs. And Come Dance With Me is actually one Bradford and his wife Kim wrote. So probably we should talk about that too.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, it's one of your favorites, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said that. I do.
Yeah, that it's a tough thing when you've got because we want to come at the record with like a bunch of overflow, so we could really pick the songs that kind of blended best together. And I think one thing that Beth and I have been attracted to in writing together is the ballad, because we have about 2 or 3 extra ballads that we're working on, and we just didn't want to make a record of ballads. So we kind of, Beth wrote Song in My Head, and Brother was so good that we had to have that one. So it kind of weaseled out one of the other ballads, and so we kind of blended the record together with some different stuff, so it wasn't all one thing. So we could kind of have some variety within the record. And Come Dance With Me is a tune that my wife and I wrote about a short story we had read. And the story revolves around a woman who is, at this stage in her life, a grandmother. And when she was young, she had fled Romania and with her family, or remnants of her family. It's not quite clear. And came over to America and started a life, and eventually had a child of her own, and then her child had a child. And so this grandmother spends time with her granddaughter, and this little girl sees this woman that she loves and cares deeply for her, but she talks funny, she does funny things that aren't like anybody else. And so this little girl is enamored with this woman who is essentially a mystery. Her grandmother never talks about her life before coming to America. And so this little girl sees these glimpses of things that her grandmother does, or hears her say things in a certain way. And it piques her interest and her curiosity. And so she goes to bed at night, and she dreams these fancified versions of who her grandmother is and where she came from and what life was like for her. And so the song is really kind of a dreamscape about the imagination of a child and our need to connect to our family and lineage and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. I love hearing you guys. I love hearing everyone's story and right up, just because I think it makes it even that much more special to hear, the idea where it came from, where you were, who you wrote it with. I absolutely love that. I love that you guys are getting so in-depth and so personal about your writings and your inspiration. I love that. It makes you really guys so much more melodic.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Now, the rest of your album, what other songs are on there? They're upbeat songs, and which ones are those? And what was your inspiration for, writing an upbeat song? Where did you pull that from?
Let's see, which upbeat ones? Well, there's a song. One of the songs I brought is "Song in My Head," and it's probably as upbeat as I have ever been. And what's funny about it is it claims that it lyrically claims that I take life pretty easy, as in if whether I'm going through sorrow or love or whatever, I carry things in my life like they were a song in my head. It's like not a big deal, taking life easy. So that's the premise behind the song. But it's not. It's something that I would like to be true, but it's not true yet. So it's something I'm singing until it is true. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it's
your willingness. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, good. So yeah, it's a fun one because it's and it's a really there ended up being this part in it that's really silly where we both go into falsetto, and it's kind of like this what do they call it, Bradford? Like beach something?
I thought of it as like roller disco.
Yeah, that's right.
It's roller disco. Awesome disco in this one.
Yeah,
it's probably my favorite song on the record.
It's got this breakdown in it that really solidifies the idea of like, what, just go ahead and live and then laugh about it and don't worry about life so much. So it's that's kind of the idea of it. That's one of the upbeat ones. There's also there's a song called From Dust to Dust, and that's one of the ones that we co-wrote that Bradford really originated. He brought that idea forward, and then we kind of hashed out the rest of the song, and it's about that point in a relationship when, you've gone through a honeymoon phase, and then but maybe at this point you've had a conflict, and you're at that cusp of, do I quit or do I can we resolve this and love each other, and choose to love each other. So it's kind of right at that point. So it's kind of cool. It's not your typical love song. It's like a reality-based love song.
The probably guy thinks in Central Park saying, "I love you so much."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like 7 years down the road kind of thing. So, that's one of the other upbeat ones. And by more so up-tempo, I guess. It's not necessarily for happy or anything.
I think Banner Day is
Banner Day.
probably the second most upbeat tune on the record, and
Totally.
that's another one we co-wrote, but it really kind of started from Beth's idea. And that was really kind of the thing that sealed the deal, I think, for the record, for me personally, because we really liked that name, Banner Days, and it was like, man, let's just run with this idea. Kind of solidified the idea of just, that's an old term that means a day that you'd celebrate, a day that you'd raise a banner for, like anniversary or birthday, that sort of thing. And so we really like that idea of, no matter what your circumstances are, okay, you might be poor, she might be like blue class, working collar, blue collar working class, daughter, but you can always shape your circumstances. However they are, you can view them optimistically, and that's really kind of the whole idea of this record. And so that's kind of where that song came back. It's really just an optimistic look at life.
Awesome, very, very awesome. It seems like the album, especially because I've listened to it a lot and some dance with me, it's very deep and meaningful, and it takes you through, sounds like a bunch of stories that you guys have experienced and hopes that you hope to achieve, and it sounds realistic, and I like that. I like that. Like she said, it's realistic love, because I hate chicks. I swear to God, they set single women up for like the biggest disappointments of their lives. So, I always just tell my friends the only way a man's going to be running through Central Park screaming he loves me is if I just killed a bunch of bees with a can of rice. That's all. That's why. It's nothing to do with anything else. So I love her saying, realistic kind of love, because no love is perfect, and no life is perfect. There's always ups and downs. So I love the fact that an album's like, there's ups and downs, but hey, what, let's sing about it, let's dance about it, let's cry about it, let's laugh about it. Love it. I absolutely love it. Now, where can people find this fantastic album?
Well, it's on iTunes, of course, and there's a link to it at our website, thebannerdays.com. So we've got a link right there on the front page that'll take you to the iTunes page where you can snatch stuff there. You can listen to it even before you buy it there as well. And we've been fortunate enough to have it been charting on iTunes all week. So it's we started off on the front page of the new and noteworthy section of singer-songwriters, and I was looking at it today. We're like just a couple spots behind the Counting Crows. Man, I'll take that every day of the week. I love those guys.
Isn't that a trip? Because we also, for readings and stuff, we get charted and things like that. And it's such a trip when you see yourself like just 2 or 3, lines down from somebody. You're like, no way. And then for the rest of the day, you're like, guess what? Ryan's deep birthday, not me. Yeah. One line. Take that for, it's such a good example. I'm not saying, we are, but it's an example. It's one of those things, like, it makes you feel successful, like, holy crap, people are really listening. No way. And I'm not surprised they're listening to you. So you guys are so talented, and really, I'm not surprised at all. I should think thanks for you guys, because your music is so relatable to those 2 songs that I've heard thus far, and I do plan on buying the album. are just so moving, and like it makes you want to listen to more. You know, when you get an album, you hear one song, and there's sometimes when you're going, I'm good. I don't need to hear anything right now, the rest of it right now, but then there's albums you put in, you're like, God, I can't wait to hear the rest of the song. Can't wait to hear the rest of the album. And I can see that, you know, that's what your music does. You pull things out of people, and it makes you go, I want more. So,
thank you.
You're so welcome. Now tell us a little more about your website.
TheBannerDays.com. It's when you go on the first page, there's a giant picture of Beth's face and a giant picture of my face. And one of the things we tried to be very careful with this project is Beth has her own brand, and it's amazing. And I have my own brand, but we wanted to really push this record together. So you go to our website, if you click on Beth's face, it takes you to her music, so you can hear her records. She's got 4 records out. They're really, really good. And then if you click on my face, it'll take you to my website, hear my music. And then you can kind of hear the music that we've done together. We've got some videos on there as well, and kind of see the contrast. And it's kind of an interesting blend of, you know, where Beth started and where I started and how this record turned out. It's been really fun because, like Beth said earlier, our musical styles really aren't that similar. So it's interesting to kind of see where it meets, and I think it works really, really well together. But it's been kind of fun to see those crossroads. Appreciate it.
I agree. I didn't interrupt you. I'm so sorry, but I did have to ask. Now you guys have individual albums as well. Can you tell us individually about your individual albums? Beth, I want to start with you.
Yeah, I've got 3 albums out. My husband and I play as a duo. He plays the upright bass, and then I play actually primarily guitar, but recently I've played more baritone, ukulele, and banjo. And I've been coined folk pop, and that kind of narrows down what what I do, but I kind of go back and forth between some like fun-loving songs and the ballad, the more haunting ballads, which I really am drawn to. I'm in other artists as well. So my husband and I have played together probably like 8 or 10 years now, and we do West Coast tours, and we've gone to the East Coast a couple times. We've been to New York once. So it's really fun to play with him, to get to do that. I'm very fortunate to have him on my team. So that's our stuff.
Excellent. And people can find this on your website too.
Yeah, my website's BethWhitneyMusic.com. And I have a Facebook too, that's also Beth Whitney Music. So Facebook/Beth Whitney Music. Yeah.
Awesome. So how about you, Beth?
Well, my music is a bit more, I call it roots, soul. I got really enamored with a lot of the old Southern songs, slave spirituals, that sort of thing. There's a real beauty in singing from a historical point of view in my estimation, because I think we remember things backwards. You know, we don't remember things forward. It's all things that have happened to us. And whether it's things that have happened to us as individuals or as people, there's a lot of synchronicity that happens there. You know, it doesn't matter, even across cultures, across ethnicities, across classes. There's a lot of similar themes that happen throughout history. And I don't know, for some reason, I'm born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I write music like a Southern boy. I'm not exactly sure how that works. But my music is pulls a lot from a lot of the oldest forms of American music. And like Beth said earlier, it tends to be very narrative-driven. I kind of tell people it's a little bit like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou meets like Al Green a little bit. it's got some soul to it. And there's songs that tell stories about suffering, about life, grit, and ultimately about hope. And my website is loomis.com. And so I've got 2 records that I put out that you can link to there. Well, and a live record that I did with Beth. Yeah, it's been a fun process to write music like this, and then to team up with Beth and kind of go in a very unexpected, different direction. Have an interesting blend of those genres.
That's awesome. I'm glad you actually met with them. So, anybody can, now what's betterdays.com is the name of the collective website where people can go and then they can take your collaborative songs and then your individual websites, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Betterdays.com. Excellent. Is there anything else you guys want to share with our listeners tonight? Anything you think they should know? Any concert dates coming up?
Yeah, well, we've got an East Coast tour coming up here in October. It's primarily house show based. We're playing at a couple colleges as well. But we're really big fans of the house show concept. And one thing we do, if you like us or follow us on Twitter or Facebook, we interact a lot with our supporters, and we frequently ask who wants a house show. And we book tours based on who would like us to come play for them at their house or their friend's house or whatever. It doesn't really matter what space it is. We really want to get out and see the world and go play for the people that support us and like our music. So we make a very pointed effort of getting out and doing it. And so it's been a fun process meeting a lot of different people in places I've never been before. Music definitely can take you places. So if you like our pages, that way you can find out when we're looking for shows, and we'll put something together and come play for you.
Nice. Will you guys get anywhere in your upstate New York area?
Well, my father lives in New York, and I'm trying to get out there to see him while we're on tour. What's that?
Can I ask more about?
He lives actually in New York City.
Oh, okay. I don't want to see other than Calva.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we're talking about possibly hitting Toronto, but we're not sure we're going to cross the border. So we may end up being on the south side of the border. Not quite sure yet, but we'll be in the upstate area, and we'll have the show dates here posted probably by the end of next week. So if anybody's interested, they can go check it out. And most of our house shows are pretty open, so they can always shoot us an email on our contact page or contact us via Facebook if we're playing in your area, and we'll get you the address.
Excellent. Any last things from you, Beth? Anything you want to spread to listeners? Anything about?
Gosh, I don't think I have anything. If you don't have anything to say, don't say anything. But I do feel it sounds like it's very humid there, and I just feel very sorry for you for that. I cannot take humidity. So I recommend jumping in a lake.
Yeah.
There you go.
I did my last one. It is quite humid. It's New York has bipolar weather. Last week it was cool. Today it's quite warm, and I'm pretty sure by next week we'll have 5 feet of snow, and then the week after that we'll have 80-degree weather again because
oh man.
But I thank you. I thank you for your kindness and your sympathy. It is well received, and I appreciate that. I'm not a fan of heat either, but I like warm. I don't like I feel like I'm going to melt any minute. It's kind of warm.
Yeah.
But so if you come up here, now, just, bring a sweater, bring a tank top, make sure you got it all.
Right.
Okay. Protect all sorts of things, and you should be good.
I'll get some of those pants that zip off. Those are, they could be pants or shorts. They're really cool. They're just very hip. And then I can just, they're terrible. They're like, you get them at sports store, like REI and stuff, and they're just not cool pants. But they can be both pants and shorts, so forget it.
Okay. That's what I'm more bang for your buck. You can have pants or shorts. I mean, really, they're a parent's dream because, if the kids complain it's hot, just zip them off. If they're too cold, just put them back on.
No problem.
That's how I see it. And as your mom, I'm sure you understand that whole concept.
Yeah. So Daryl has good advice.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show. You've been so kind and gracious and so much fun, and you guys are both extraordinarily talented. And I want to remind everybody, go to the website, go to both their websites, like them on Facebook, Bradford Loomis, Beth Whitney, follow them on Twitter, keep up to date. And as a matter of fact, if you guys would like, you're more than welcome to be placed on our Music Mayhem page, where we'll put a link to your website along with a banner. People can come and find you and click on the website and, then, be right to your website where they can purchase your album. They can keep updates on you. We'd love to have you on there.
Cool.
Again, yeah, absolutely. I'll get the information from Michael. But thank you both so much. This is Bradford Loomis and Beth Whitney. Sorry. And I just want to thank you so much. You guys are so very, very talented. I hope you guys make it up to upstate New York sometime. I'd love to see you guys live. You have an open door on the Wicked Edge anytime. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Anytime you guys are on the Wicked Edge, you've got it. Thank you guys so much for sharing your talent and your music. And I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. I think it's going to be great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, everybody. It is a humid Wednesday night up here in New York. I'm going to let y'all go. I hope you all have a great and safe night. Please spread love and not hate. And we'll see you next week right here on the Wicked Edge with Tiffany Beth. Bye, everybody.